Aaron, 3 people are waiting for you.
Faces today.
No one's doing anything today. No. It needs to be charged and it needs to be left on.
Okay, I'm not doing school today. Not doing school.
You are.
Why did you say no one's doing anything?
No.
Why, Mommy? You say no one's.
Not on video yet. And then start video.
Boker Tov. You hear me? Am I unmuted?
Maybe?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, I think so. We might need to make it louder. Come on.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's get started. All right. Okay, we're up to top of we're up to Chaf Hey. We're up to Daf 25a. The bottom, we're starting from the bottom of the Ravashi Amar. So the discussion over here is about why are we not allowed to burn Truma Tame Truma on Yontiv? Why are we not allowed to light with it? Why are we not allowed to light with it? That's what the Mishnah said. The question is why. We said a number of reasons, because you're not allowed to burn Truma in this number of psukim that were brought down. You cannot burn disqualified Kachim on Yontiv, and other psukim as well that are brought here. And Truma Tmeya, Tame Truma is under the category of Kachim of disqualified Karban. Well, that's the right understanding. It's under the same category as well. It's under the same category. Dosis brings down because of Xera that we compare it to Kachim that became Tame. So ultimately, the reason is why in the world are we not allowed to burn Kachim, or we're allowed to burn Truma on Yontif? Why can't we do such a thing? The Ravashi says because Shabbos on. Asay v'avlayantav asay v'lois asay. So the question, as Rashi pointed out before, stems from why can we burn kachim yantav? It should be a positive commandment. We always know negates a negative commandment, which is the concept of a positive commandment. If it simultaneously comes at the same time as a negative commandment, for example, one of the classic ideas of that would be a child has saras on his makom hamila. It's an isser lois to cut off the saras, yisham nega saras. The positive commandment of cutting off saras negates the negative commandment. So also here as well, even though it's a negative commandment to do malach on Yom Tov, right? To burn something on Yom Tov, unless for your own needs, but it's a positive command to burn kachim, to burn disqualified kachim or disqualified truma, and therefore it should negate the negative commandment. So your answers, but that only Rav Ashi answers that only applies by a positive commandment going against one negative commandment. But if it's a positive commandment against a negative commandment and a positive commandment, an asay cannot be doicha, a los asay and an asay. And here by Yom Tov, even though yes, we have a mitzvah to burn kachim that are disqualified, or burn truma, which is intimidated. However, you're going against a negative commandment of losasu komalacha on Yom Tov, and a positive commandment of Shabbosin. It says Yom Tov is Shabbosin, which the Gemara's understanding means shvus, mean rest on Shabbos. It's a positive commandment to rest on malacha. So a positive commandment to burn truma and kachim that are tamei does not override a positive commandment and a negative commandment of violating the Yom Tov. Yontav asay v'los asay and asay doichel los asay v'asay. Yontav asay los asay and asay cannot be doichel los asay and asay. That's going too far. Even though Rashi points out that what's wrong with burning a candle, you're allowed to do certain malacha on Yontav. So, and you're allowed to burn a candle even if it's truma tamei to get benefit from it on Yontav. That's something which is permitted by Yontav. That's not a malacha. You're allowed to cook on Yontav, and anything that's a necessity for your Yontav. Cooking, or there's a concept called mitoich. Certain things go along with that to get benefit from. Rashi says something a little big. He says that this is just under the category of kachim that are disqualified. It's, even though there are scenarios, but it's all under one category. And when the Torah disqualified truma, kachim, which is disqualified, which became disqualified from burning a Yom Tov, because that goes against a negative commandment and a positive commandment, somehow truma is under that category. Even though truma is somewhat permitted, we just put it together. It could be rabbinical. It might be rabbinical. There is another brought down like that in Taisus. It's only rabbinical. But being that it is made, that is the ultimate reason you can't burn it. And asay can't be doichel los asay v'asay. Ask the Gemara. This whole entire mission is telling you can't burn this truma. In other words, you can't light the candle for your benefit because you're burning truma on Yom Tov. So it's a problem on Yom Tov. But the indication over here is that if it would have been the weekday, this would be okay to do such a thing. Why is it okay why is it okay during the weekday to take a candle and burn contaminated truma and get benefit from it? Saying only on Yom Tov this is a problem because you're essentially at the same time you're burning truma on Yom Tov. But this would be permitted. Why is it permitted on the weekday? My time. So Amar Rav says, Kishem shemitzah l'srov kachim sheninu, just like it's a positive commandment to burn disqualified truma that became contaminated. So too there's a mitzvah as well to burn truma that became contaminated, right? Either because it's doimil l'kodesh, or Taisus brings an idea that it's called kodesh in the Torah, truma, or because the takala, maybe it's only rabbinical, but there is such a mitzvah to burn atmeya. The Amr Torah, and the Torah says b'shas b'yura tihani mimenu. And the Torah says the time when you're burning, you're allowed to get benefit from it. And the Gemara is going to say, where does it say this in the Torah? But there's a mitzvah to burn it. However, the Torah, when you burned it, the Torah allowed you to get benefit from it as well. So this is an idea that truma, which is Torah, Kohen could eat, but truma tmeya, the Torah also told you, even though you got to burn it, it's a mitzvah to burn it, you are allowed to get a byproduct benefit from it and burn it and cook your food with it or light a candle with it, and you're allowed to be neheneth from it. And so where's the source for this? Where's the source for this? Amar Rabba Rabba Amar Kra. Heichel Amar Torah, I'm sorry. Of Nachman, we learn from Nachman. Amar of Nachman, Amar Rabba Ravua, Amar Kra. It's Bani and I. I'm sorry. It says Vani, and I, I've given you my truma, trumasi, my truma. So that alludes to the grammar over here, alludes to two trumas. Trumas the pasuk talking about two trumas. Gave a coin two trumas. Achas truma tahira. One is obviously pure truma to consume. The other truma tmeya, and one is contaminated truma. Contaminated. What is the contaminated truma given for? The Torah says, "Lecha." It should be for you. Shalcha tehei la'asika tachasil shilcha. You could use it to light up your oven that you could cook your dishes with it. So from here we see this idea that we're giving over two trumas. It says it's given over for you to usage for two trumas. One truma is consuming, and there's a different type of truma which you're allowed to not consume it, but you're allowed to use it for your benefit, and that's truma tmeya. So here's the Rav Nachman source that you're allowed to benefit from truma tmeya. On the weekday, it just happens to be, our Mishnah says on Yom Tov, it would be a problem for a separate reason, all the reasons we spoke about before, because you're not allowed to truma on Yom Tov. But during the weekday, it's perfectly fine to burn it and get benefit from it. Ibayisema, another source that you're allowed to benefit from truma tmeya, and it's not just a mitzvah to burn it; you actually benefit from it. We learn out from Avo. The says, this is referring to a meiser, and meiser, the vidui meiser. When you give a confession, when you give over your meiser, you say this vidui, and part of it is you said you promised that you didn't do certain things with it, and one is that you do not eat it when you're tummy. So you not eat it when you're tummy. So we learn off from here, mimenu yatamaver will be arti menu tummy. I didn't consume it or I didn't burn it when it's tummy. So we learn off from here that mimenu, there's a diak of inference. Only meiser, there's a problem to burn it when it's tummy, and you get benefit from it. Mimenu yatamaver, from it you can't burn and get benefit. But it alludes to there is something else that we are allowed to burn and get benefit from, which is what? Which is shemen of truma. It's just oil of truma that got tummy. So the second source over here is the confession we find by Meiser, which someone admits or someone comes forth and says that he did not make usage out of tummy Meiser. So there's an inference there that only tummy Meiser there's a problem to do that, but alluding to truma there would not be a problem to do that. So from here is our second source. That truma tzmei, you're allowed to derive benefit from it when you burn it. Okay. Ask the Gemara, Ve'ema, who said that inference is coming to include burning truma tzmeya? Maybe the inference is allowing us to burn kodesh, which become tamei, meaning something from the korban from the Beis Hamikdash become tamei, or shemen shel kodesh, the oil that you donated to the Beis Hamikdash. And that korbanos, which has that holy status of kodshim, maybe that which became tummy you're allowed to benefit from. But who said truma? Meaning there is an inference that's being made from this pasuk over here, saying that meiser you can't benefit when it's tummy, and something else you could. But who told you to say it's referring to truma that became tummy? Maybe it's kodshim that became tummy, Beis Hamikdash items, food that became tummy. And that's the Gemara's question. Ve'ema, let us say, mimena yatamaver. You're not allowed to burn from meiser that became tummy. Avalata of shemen shel kodesh, but maybe you could burn shemen of kodesh, of Beis oil that became tummy. And who said we're referring to truma that became tummy? That the Gemara says, no, that can't be. Because lav kal v'chomer, is it not a kal v'chomer? It's how much more so? Ma meiser hakal, if meiser, which is very lenient, meiser doesn't have all the stringencies of kodshim, meiser is very lenient. And it's lenient meiser. Amra Torah lo biarti mimena b'tamei. It said you're not allowed to burn it when it's tamei and get benefit from it. Kodshim, which is so severe, lo kodshim, for sure you can't benefit from them. In other words, how can you say that meiser is not allowed to be burned when it's tamei, but kodshim, which is more severe, is allowed to be and derive benefit from it? That wouldn't make any sense. It's a kal v'chomer. So ask the Gemara the obvious question: Iachi truma nami blema kal v'chomer. So truma as well, say the same kal v'chomer. Right, that truma, which is obviously more severe than meiser, and they're more severe because meiser can be eaten by Yisrael, truma and kodshim can only be by kohen, etc. And there's many chumras, severities by trumas and meisers, more than meiser, trumas and kodshim more than meiser. So say, just like meiser, if meiser, which is so lenient, you're not allowed to consume it or derive benefit when it's tamei, by burning it, for sure truma. So how could you deduce from Meiser that Truma is allowed to derive benefit when you burn it? So that the Gemara says, no, Haksi Mimenu, because the Torah makes a miyut. It says Mimenu. It specifically stresses only Meiser. You can't derive benefit from when you're burning it. Indicating something else you can. So even though you're right, there might be a bona fide Kal V'Chaimer, but there's a pasuk which it makes a diak that alludes to the fact that only Meiser you can't derive benefit. Something else you can. Ask the Gemara, Ma Ra'isa, and why did you see befitting though? Again, you're back to square one. What did you see more fitting to make the diak, make the inference that we allow to derive benefit from Truma more than Kodesh? In other words, there is a Kal V'Chomer to be made that Meiser is lenient, you can't derive benefit. So everything else also chicane. However, you're right, there is an inference that says only Meiser, not something else. But who told you to say that the inference is there for Truma and not for Kodesh? Ma Ra'isa, why did you see fitting to make more of an inference and say you're permitted Truma, not Kodesh? Which the Gemara answers, Mistaber Kodesh lo mitinu. It's logical to us that Kochim shouldn't be excluded from this prohibition. And the exclusion of the prohibition should go to Truma. Because there's a siman panak akaz, which all alludes to different things. We'll speak on a moment. That they have all these scenarios of severities called panak akaz. These severities. So because of these severities, it's illogical to say that it's illogical to say that the inference is coming to exclude the prohibition of Kodesh, because Kodesh has all these severities. What are the severities? It has pigul. It has a halacha called pigul. Pigul means when you slaughter a korban, you have this thought that you'll eat it out of its range of time that you're allowed to be eaten, and then you consume it, even within the time period. But the mere machshava, the mere thought, ruins the korban. It has that severity, which is not a severity which exists by anything else. Likewise, that's the pay. This is an acronym, panakakaz. That's the pay. The nun acronym refers to noiser. There's rules of leftovers. That if you leave over, that there's rules of leftovers, you can't leave over any of the korban. If you leave the korban be'eshes rofu, and I think it is karetz as well, right? And that's right. That only exists when it comes to that is the nun. The kuf is korban. The kuf is it's called a korban, and there's mi'ila. There's a concept called mi'ila. I'm sorry, korban and mi'ila. That's a separate. They're listening. That is a separate one. They're listening as the ayin. I'm sorry. It's called a korban. Korban has that severity, and it has mi'ila. Mi'ila as well means that you're not allowed to misappropriately use it. If you use it, there's an avera that you have to bring, pay for it, and you have to bring a chaimish. Your own purposes is a problem when it comes to kodesh, when it comes to karbanos. Vikaris, and the chaf is karis. There's karis. If one eats kachim in his tumah state, and when he is impure, he gets karis. What is karis is a machlokes, right? It's a machlokes what karis is. Taisus brings 2 days is what it is. Karis is you don't reach age 60. You die before the age 60. And Misa b'dei shemaim, which we'll speak in a moment, that's called death b'dei shemaim, is you can die at any moment. There's Yerushalmi that says Karis is before age 50, and Misa b'dei shemaim is before 60. The different opinions. And regarding not having children or children dying, as well is included in Karis according to most opinions. Some opinions, there's a Rishon called the Riva, that's Karis, the not having children or children dying is only limited when the pasuk says Aribi. But as Karis, one does not, the children don't die. That's my focus what karis is, but it's dying prematurely. Definitely everyone agrees prematurely. The question is what premature is. So there's karis there as well. And those are all the severities. It's pigel, noiser, carbon, me'ila, karis. And as well, asr la'oinen. And it's asr to an oinen. An oinen can't eat it. An oinen can't eat it as well. And meaning someone who's didn't bury someone has a loved one who died, one of his close relatives, and he didn't bury the body yet, he's also to eat it. And therefore, since it has all these severities over here, therefore it's mistaver, it's logical to say that this isn't excluded from the prohibition of burning and deriving benefit when you burn it, that Meiser has as well. And therefore, we would rather exclude from the prohibition, in other words, to permit Truma, which Truma doesn't have all these severities. But ask the Gemara, Adarabah, the exact opposite. Truma, you should not exclude Truma. Truma is also severe. Shekei machpaz, because it has an acronym of machpaz, which is Siman Misa. The mem represents Misa. There's Misa b'dei shemaim. Someone, a Zor, non-Kohen consumes truma and eats it, or Kohen whose tummy consumes it, he has misa b'dei shema, which we spoke of before, is premature death as well, dying at any moment or dying before age 50, according to some opinions. Misa b'dei shema. And there is a chaimish. The ches refers to chaimish. If a non-Kohen, by accident eats truma, he has to pay for the truma an additional add a fifth to the price on. It has that severity. That's the ches. Pay. It has pidyon, represents redemption. There's no redeeming truma. Truma has a severity that once you take off truma, you can't redeem it on a coin. It remains in its holy status forever. When it's just not the case by kach, not the case by other items, by certain items, certain kachim could be redeemed, right? For example, if it got a mum before you slaughter it, you could redeem it. Certain kachim you can't redeem, but there is a parsha of redemption which doesn't exist by truma. And the last one of the acronym was the zayin, which is zarim, right? Non-kohanim. It's a sur lazarim. A non-kohen cannot eat truma ever. When it comes to kachim karbanos, there are karbanos which not allowed to eat. They're called kachei kalim, light kachim, which include ma'aseh behema. They include a toda, korban toda, a korban shlamim. The bailim, the owner of the korban who's non-kohen, does participate in eating of it. So ask the Gemara, we find all these severities by truma. So all these severities by truma should make them they should make them included in the prohibition of the pasuk deriving benefit of meiser, just like meiser burning can derive benefit, so to truma. So again, so the Gemara is back to square one. There is this inference that only meiser has a prohibition to derive benefit when you burn it, and something else not. But who does that inference exclude? Does it exclude kachim that would be permitted to derive benefit, or does it exclude truma? And we're unclear because each has their own severities, which would make it a better candidate to include it in the prohibition, as opposed to excluding it to permit it. So answers the Gemara, Hanach Nefishin. Those are more. In other words, all the severities in number-wise, if you list the severities that were listed by Kachim, they have more numbers on Truma. Because if you count them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 severities listed by Kachim, and by Truma there was only Machpaz, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 4 listed severities. So numbers, it's a number game. They beat each other out of numbers. There's more severities by Kachim than Truma. Therefore, Kachim wins as being the more severe prohibition, and it makes more sense to include in the prohibition of Meiser to derive benefit, and thereby the exclusion that it's permitted would go on Truma. Truma is permitted to derive benefit from it when you burn it. Aribai, same with the Morgue is another answer. Kodesh Chomer. I'll tell you why Kodesh is more severe, that it deserves to be included in the prohibition as opposed to excluded. Shkein Oynis Karis, because Kachim has Karis attached to it. Has Karis attached to it, which Karis, as Rashi brings down. It has 2 things. It has a person dies prematurely. He doesn't have children. It has 2 elements to it. Masha Enkin, when someone consumes Truma, either if he's Tameh, a Kohen, or a non-Kohen, it's only Misa B'Tei Shemayim, which Misa B'Tei Shemayim is also dying prematurely. However, it doesn't include the punishment of one's children dying as well. Therefore, it's less severe. So being that we see the Torah indicated the punishment being more severe by Kachim is an indication that Kachim is more severe. Therefore, it deserves to be within the prohibition of benefiting from when you burn it, just like Meiser. And the exclusion that we've been permitted to benefit when you burn it would be going on Truma. And this is the final result, that Truma, therefore, is allowed to be, when you burn it, because there is a mitzvah to burn Truma Tameh, you're allowed to derive benefit from it when you do that. Either get the warmth of it, use the candlelight, or use it as firewood. Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar, a different source as to why someone is allowed to derive benefit from Truma Tameh that he burns. Amar Kra Titen Loi V'Lara. This is talking about when you give over the Truma, you tithe or you take off a portion of your produce to give to a Kohen as Truma. The Torah says you have to give to him. Give Loi. Loi is excluding something. What is it excluding? Loi, you have to give to him to consume, and the Gemara understands V'Loi La'oiro, for him to eat, but not for his fire. That's how you have to give it off. In other words, the Torah is warning you and saying when you take off Truma produce, make sure to take off non-contaminated produce. It has to be from Tahar. You don't take off Tameh produce to give to the Kohen from your produce, even though the Kohen can derive benefit from it, but don't give to him because you have to give to him to consume V'Loi or not for his fire. So there's a prohibition to take off Truma Tameh and give it to the Kohen. But we see from here that the fact that Torah has to prohibit you from giving Truma Tameh shows that Truma Tummy is useful to the Kohen, right? It's useful for him to derive benefit from putting in his fire. The Torah has to warn you, you're not allowed to do that. You can't take this off. That's wrong. When you take off produce, you have to give him from the good stuff he consumes. But the mere provision of the Torah to take off from Truma Tummy, you see what you're allowed to do, what you're allowed to derive benefit from. A Kohen, if he has Truma Tummy, you see from here, would be allowed to get it for his or and derive benefit from it by putting in his fire. But that's why the Torah has to prohibit you from taking off Truma Tummy and giving to the Kohen as his tithe, as his Truma, right? And rather give from Torah they consume, because you see from here that you would be theoretically allowed to benefit from that if you did that. Michlal, the implication is the Bas Ur, that it's something which is a Bas Ur, who means the daughter of Or, means it's a way of saying that you're allowed to derive benefit from it, from the Or, from the candle, from burning it or candlelight, or that sort of benefit from it. Okay, so that's the conclusion of the Gemara. The conclusion of the Gemara is the reason that you are not allowed to light Truma Tmeya in your candles on the subject. Right, for Shabbos candles, put in the oil, Truma Tmeya, is because Truma Tmeya is under the category of Kachim Tameh. And Kachim Tameh is the halachas, you're supposed to burn it. And however, you do not do this on Yontiv. Right? You don't do none of it. And the Gemara then goes through why are you allowed to benefit from it at all, even during the weekday? And the Gemara brings numerous sources for this point. Okay. On that note, let us go further. Rabbi Shmuel in the Mishnah said that one is not allowed to light with itron because of Kabbat Shabbos. Itron is some sort of pitch or some sort of tar. So what's the reason you can't do this? My taima, it has a foul smell. We're worried that perhaps because of the foul smell, a person might leave it there and leave his house. And there'll be a lack of Oneg Shabbos. We want him to have pleasure on Shabbos and enjoy on Shabbos and relax on Shabbos. And when you have foul-smelling candles, he'll leave it and go out. And he won't be there for Shabbos. He'll get out of there. So ask the Gemara, let him leave. Let him leave. What's the big deal? So, Amar le Shani Omer, halakas near b'Shabbos chayva. The reason that it's not so simple that he can just light it and leave is because I say that halakas, I have the opinion that halakas near Shabbos is a chayva. Lighting Shabbos candles is an obligation. The Amar of Nachman bar Yisavda, Amar La, Amar of Nachman bar Zavda, Rav, halakas near Shabbos chayva. Lighting Shabbos candles is an obligation, and we'll speak about another point in a moment. So since it's an obligation to light Shabbos candles, I don't want him to leave the room, which means, and Rashi and Tosfos both point this out, that of course we all know that lighting candles is an obligation. That's not what we're talking about over here. Lighting candles is for sure to light candles. For Shabbos, Shalom Bayis, we spoke of before the importance that it even trumps Hanukkah. It could trump any Hanukkah candles. It could trump your Kiddush if you only have enough money for one. That's certainly a mitzvah. We know that. We're talking about the particular point of Shabbos candles as a candlelight dinner, having them at your Shabbos table when you eat the meal. That's what the Gemara is referring to over here. Even that's an obligation. For sure, it's an obligation to light Shabbos candles. That's a no-brainer. That's not a question. Shlomo Melech was misaking that. Here we're talking about the candlelight dinner that you have, which gives the prestige. As we all know, you go to a fancy restaurant, they'll have candles on the table. That's a fancy, pleasurable meal when there's candles on the table. It creates a certain atmosphere, a certain ambiance. So that idea to have candles by your Shabbos table, and in times of the Gemara, was probably even more practical purpose. Because you want to eat, we want to see what you eat. As the Gemara says, a blind man doesn't get pleasure from his food, right? Like he doesn't get pleasure from his food because he can't see it. So in the olden days, that's what it's more for. But it's to create a pleasurable meal. That's what the Gemara is referring to over here. That we're worried about that point. You might light your Shabbos candles, foul smell, and you got to get out of there. And you won't eat your Shabbos meal by the Shabbos candles. That's what we're bothered with, and then we hold that is an obligation over here to do such a thing. Right. It could be that this is a room to say this idea over here that we know there's a famous Vilna Gaon that says there's two elements to. There is a famous Vilna Gaon that says that there's a difference between Oyning and Kabbat Shabbos. Right. We know that there's 39 malachos on Shabbos, and there's also two rabbinical mitzvahs or midivri and neviim mitzvahs on Shabbos as well. Or there's positive commandments as well, which are referring to Zachar, Kiddush, and maybe Abdallah. But there's additional mitzvahs that on Shabbos that are from the Navi, that are from the prophets, which are called Oneg and Kabbat Shabbos. Pleasure on Shabbos and Kabbat Shabbos. Right? Pleasure and Kabbat. What's the difference between pleasure and Kabbat? Pleasure, the Vilna Gaon writes, the difference between pleasure on Shabbos is any activity on Shabbos itself that you do that gives you joy for Shabbos, certain foods that you eat, certain beautiful clothes that you wear, right? And there's another idea called Kavod Shabbos. That's any preliminary before Shabbos activity that you do to prepare for the Shabbos, to put on a white tablecloth, to wear down nice clothing before Shabbos. That would be Kavod Shabbos. So many people say halakas in their Shabbos, they put this in the Rambam, has two elements to it. Shabbos candles has the element of Kavod Shabbos, and that's what you light before Shabbos. And that could certainly be an obligation. That we're not talking about this Gemara. This Gemara, we're talking about the element of Oneg Shabbos, as Taisus points out. It's Oneg Shabbos. To eat by candles is an Oneg, is a pleasure of Shabbos. And that's what the Gemara is referring to over here, that is an obligation as well, to eat by Shabbos candles. And we are afraid if you light with a foul-smelling shem and oil, foul-smelling, you may not fulfill this halacha of this Oneg Shabbos. Okay, so that's what the Gemara is referring to. And the Gemara goes further in this point, that Amarav halakas near b'Shabbos chayva, lighting Shabbos candles, which we said is referring to eating by the Shabbos candles, is an obligation. Rechitzas yadayim v'gayim b'cham na'arvis rishus. But to take a shower, or it's not even a full shower, but washing your hands and your feet with hot water pre-Shabbos, that's rishus. That's not a mitzvah per se. That is optional. V'ani Amar, but I say, I guess this is, who is this talking? This is someone though.
It says Rav Nachman.
This is Rav Nachman himself talking.
Yeah.
I guess Rav Nachman's quoting Rav, and then Rav Nachman says that it's not a rishus. And Rav Nachman says, I myself say that it's not just the mitzvah, it's not just the rishus. I hold that it's a mitzvah as well. Bani Amar mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to wash Erev Shabbos, take a shower Erev Shabbos. My mitzvah. Rav Yehuda Amarav, Kachai min haglosh Rav Yehuda bar Eloi. Erev Shabbos, Mevi'in lo arevam le'achamin. This was his pre-Shabbos activity. They used to bring a areva mele'achamin, sort of bathtub filled with hot water. And he used to wash his face, hands, and feet. So that's what we're bringing this in for. We see that mitzvah to wash oneself, shower before Shabbos. And it speaks out additional activities he did before Shabbos. He used to wrap himself in this talus. He used to sit in linen garments which had tzitzis on them, which obviously there were four corners, had tzitzis on them. He looked like a malach Hashem Svakos. He looked like one of Hashem's minister angels, wrapped in his talus there. This is a side point here, but his students, I guess, would do similar, but they would hide the corners of their garments that they were wearing. Because their corners of their garments, they were wearing the same type of material, linen. They did not put tzitzis in the corner. So they were afraid of the Rebbe because they didn't put tzitzis for halachic reasons. And they didn't want the Rebbe to see there's no tzitzis. And Amar Lahem, I guess his Rebbe noticed, he said, Bini, lo kach shenisadachem, did I not teach you? Sadim et tzitzis, that linen, regarding the obligation of tzitzis, Beis Shammai Paichim, Beis Shammai says you're not obligated in tzitzis, but Beis Hillel says you are obligated. In other words, there's a controversy about linen. Any four-corner garment, of course, needs tzitzis. There is a controversy about linen. Why is linen controversial? The reason, as you could probably think of it yourself, is because the tzitzis, right, that you put on the garment, right, they don't necessarily have to be wool, right? They could be any. They could be wool, but wool works for any tzitzis, any garment. But the halach is that whatever the material, the beged is, the actual beged, the clothes that you're wearing, they could be the same material of the tzitzis as well. However, tchelas, which unfortunately we don't really have this mitzvah nowadays, or whatever, that's a point of controversy whether we do or whether we can do it or we can't do it. But tchelas definitely have to be amra, have to be wool. Tchelas are wool, and being that tchelas is wool, by definition, putting on tzitzis on a linen garment would be a violation of shatnez, of linen and wool together, right? So therefore, Beis Shammai Poiter, Beis Shammai says you do not put wool and linen together. If it's linen, you don't put tzitzis on it. You want to put tzitzis because of the prohibition of shatnez, because the tchelas, that one strand, there is one strand that's required to be wool. The rest of them don't have to be wool necessarily. They can just be the same material as the garments, but that has to be wool. And Beis Hillel Mechayim, Beis Hillel Senoyer Chayim, as we know, there's a famous, we'll see it in Maseches Yevamos, maybe it did come up already, that he darshans a drasha, that he learns out the juxtaposition of the psukim about not wearing shatnez and tzitzis are put together. So Beis Hillel learns that the one exception, or one of the only exceptions that you're allowed to wear shatnez is in an event where it's tzitzis. You're allowed to put shatnez together there. He was saying to them that my students, I know it's linen and you're worried about shatnez. I understand that. But what about Beis Hillel's opinion? He permitted shatnez in this case. You guys are going like Beis Shammai. We never go like Beis Shammai. So what did they think? What was their logic? The inu sabi, but their logic was gzeira mishum ksus laila. They made a gzeira mishum ksus laila. In other words, they understood you're obligated in tzitzis there, and it wouldn't be a violation of shatnez. However, they were worried about something. They felt there's a decree because of ksus laila. Right? The halacha is that a garment which is nighttime garment is not obligated, according to many opinions, is not obligated in tzitzis. Tzitzis are not obligated in nighttime. Or a night garment. Your pajamas, which have four corners, are not obligated in tzitzis. So they were worried about this, that one may wear this at nighttime. They may wear it at nighttime. Or maybe in an event, more accurately, it seemed like from the Gemara, maybe you'll have a linen garment which has four corners, which is a nighttime garment, and you might put tzitzis on that, and that will be a violation of tzitzis. Or you may wear it at nighttime, violation of shatnez. Because the Torah only when the Torah obligated you in tzitzis, you're allowed to wear shatnez. But in an event where there's no obligation to wear tzitzis, which is nighttime, and thereby putting on tzitzis over there would be a violation of shatnez and wearing them. So they felt that the rabbis, they felt they could uproot the mitzvah entirely by linen, even though linen is obligated to put on tzitzis there, and even shatnez is okay, because they were worried about what about a nighttime, either a night garment or wearing them at nighttime, according to different opinions. That would be a violation of shatnez because there's no mitzvah at nighttime. You're only allowed to break the mitzvah of shatnez and violate it if you're performing a mitzvah, and nighttime of mitzvah. Therefore, they felt that it was worthy not to put on for that reason because of this zera. So that was going on. But ultimately, what we want from this Gemara is that there's a mitzvah to take a shower Erev Shabbos and wash with hot water your face, at least your face, hands, and feet. This is such a mitzvah. Now the Gemara quotes another passage from Eicha. I don't have the translation here. Tiznach mishalom nafshi lashisa toiva. It seems like it's obviously Eicha is an ominous Megillah talking about all the tragedies, but within there, I think it's alluding to certain things that we're missing now, the certain pleasures that we're missing now. And from there we're learning out different things that exist on Shabbos. What does this part of the pasuk mean? The shalom nafshi, we're alluding to the shalom, this piece. It's alluding to the lighting of the Ner Shabbos. That's shalom bias. When you light candles in Shabbos, people don't trip, and you have light in the house that creates shalom bias. I guess I was removed from good. What is that referring to? This refers to Beis HaMerchatz, right? The bathhouse. So this pasuk is alluding to all the beautiful mitzvahs of Erev Shabbos, before Shabbos, of lighting Shabbos candles for Shalom Bayis and going to the shower or the mikvah of Erev Shabbos. This mitzvah, that's what it's referring to, and that's why it's on our subject. It's a mitzvah to light Shabbos candles before Shabbos for Shalom Bayis, and obviously the mitzvah to also take a shower of Shabbos in hot water for Erev Shabbos for Oneg, for the Kavod Shabbos. Rav Yitzchak Amar Nechnav Gomer, he says it refers to other things. Zumita Noah v'kelim noim. It refers to having a nice bed, meaning having a bed that's made with nice sheets. V'kelim noim, putting out your beautiful vessels on Shabbos. Shalei Rav Amar Zumita Mitzas. Rav used to say Zumita Mitzas, a prepared bed, v'ishu mekushetas, and a woman who's mekushetas was adorned with jewelry. The Talmidei Chacham is appropriate for Talmidei Chacham. I guess that's what he's alluding. That's what it's alluding to. These pleasures, these certain pleasures here for Talmidei Chacham. Tanur Abanan Eza Asher. Who's considered a wealthy person? This sounds very similar to a Mishnah Novus. As you know, Eza Hu Asher Asameach B'Chalko. It's very similar. Who is a wealthy person? Kol sheyesh lo nachas ruach ba'ashro. Anyone who has pleasure, nachas ruach, from his wealth. In other words, he's satisfied.
That's the question.
What?
Previously, we had Rashi said, "Chav Gimel on the base, Shloim Beisoi." Rashi said, "V'achem riyan lekaman v'tiznach mishalom nashi zotakas ne b'Shabbos shebnei beisim mitztaram leishev b'choshech." Here, Rashi says, "V'tiznach mishalom nafshi Shloim Beisoi shlehoy lo b'mar lahadlik v'makom shein ner en shalom shahoylech v'nichshal v'hoylech v'afela." Is it like Tosfos says over here, or is it the walking around and
what's the other Rashi you have?
The other Rashi is on Chav Gimel and Beis.
What does Rashi say?
Rashi says v'achem riyan lekaman v'tiznach mishalom nafshi zotakas ne b'Shabbos shebnei beisim mitztaram leishev b'choshech. Like Tosfos says over here, zotakas ne b'Shabbos chayve, as you said previously, b'makom suda.
If you're here, I don't know. I mean, you could. You feel mitzdarim b'choshech means that the Suda? I'm not sure if it means that. I'm not.
That's what.
I could easily hear how that means. You might trip over things. You might trip over things. Mitzvah leisur b'choshech. It's an element of not tripping over things, of sitting in the dark. There's a certain only Shabbos a pleasure eating over your meal. I don't think that refers to. That's a different thing with star leisur b'choshech.
So the Bach is goyres v'oichel. Instead, over here, to say that Rashi over here is like Rashi over there. But the pashtus of Rashi over here, without the Bach, is bumping into things. Whereas over there, Rashi says that it's about. Okay.
So you're saying if you put in the Girsa Oichel over here, this would sound like the previous discussion we were discussing on the whole page. Oichel. If you put that in. I think if you take out the word Oichel, then to me that sounds very similar to Chav Gimel Beis. I don't think it sounds so different.
Is it
okay,
the
I hear
or is it the Hoylech?
So, okay, I hear your aura. We have to, you have to clarify this. Is Eichel is a Hoylech? Is it a different thing than tripping? Is it a different thing than sitting in the dark? What are you leaning towards? You feel it's like Rashi and Chav Gimel? What do you feel?
I think that's what the Bach is trying to tell you, that I have another Rashi, and L'chora the Sugir previously, and Tosas seems to be saying the same way, that it's about eating the Suda.
Right, I hear what you're saying. And the previous Rashi darshan is the same pasuk, but doesn't. And you say the previous pasuk, when Rashi and Chav Gimel, you think that's referring to the Suda as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. That doesn't sound like to me a Suda. That doesn't sound like the element of Suda. Okay, I hear what you're saying. We have to sift through these Rashis here. I hear what you're saying. Okay, let's just finish up here. Just one more. Just go to 1 or 2 dots here. What's an usher? Anyone who has nachas ruach ba'usher, very similar to the Rashi learns here, which refers to someone who's sameach bechelko, whether he has a lot or little. That's what it means, and that is a sameach bechelko. Says nafmina mitrach lahadure milsa. Okay. Siman mem mamkov. Ravi Tarfon Amar Kol Sheish Lo Kuf Kramim Umeyasadas. Who's considered someone who's Sameach B'Chalkoi? He has 100 vineyards and 100 fields. V'Kuf Avodim and 100 servants. She'oivdim that work those fields. She'oivdim hem. Rabbi Kiva Amar Kol Sheish Lo Isha Na. Anyone has a beautiful wife, beautiful with maisim. She has good deeds. Rabbi Amar Kol Sheish Lo Bayit Besakiza Samach Shulchano. This is anyone who has a bathroom who's close to his table. He doesn't have to go far into the outhouses. Marshall writes something interesting over here. There's 3 reasons a person amasses wealth. One reason he amasses wealth is because he wants to just amass wealth, get a shame. He's on the Fortune 500 list or something of that sort. Another reason a person amasses wealth is because he wants to support his family, his wife, his kids. That's another person wealth. Another person needs wealth. Is that, what's the third reason he needs wealth? Rasha writes, is because he amasses wealth because you might need them. Who knows? There may be a hunger. You may get sick. He has to amass them. He has to amass the wealth. So he won't come to be poor one day. It's for his future. So 3 reasons wealth. Because of the kavod, the honor of it, because he needs parnasa for his family, for his wife. Or the third reason is because he wants to prevent a situation ever going to poverty, to have a provision. So over here, it's telling you it's negating those 3 things. It says, who's wealthy? Someone has 100 vineyards, 100 fields, meaning there's no limit to wealth. You'll never be satisfied. That's what's coming to say. You'll never be satisfied. No matter how much you have, you always want to be better and better and better and more wealthy. There's always someone more wealthy than you. That's the first thing. The second thing is person wants it for Panas's base. So it's telling you for what do you want? You want to support your wife? You want to keep giving more and more to your wife, she'll never be satisfied either. And he quotes a chazal that she'll want more and more, and she'll eventually eat you up. The real thing that you want for your wife is a wife who has beautiful maisim. And the third thing is someone who shouldn't get sick. They say they shouldn't get sick and not have parnasa. That is telling over here that it's telling you that, this thing is not in our hands. It's not really in our hands. And the real thing is that that also doesn't have a shear, he says, that has no limitation. You never ever know. So the real thing you want is something that is close to your bathroom. It's your bathroom is close to your table, so you shouldn't get sick, and really you should just care about your health. So it's all negating those three reasons why a person amasses wealth. And Tanda Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Malik Mitzri. You cannot light with Bitzri. What is Tzri? So my timer, Amar Rabba Mitoch Sharecha Noidev, Zereshim Estapim Minum. Apparently there's a beautiful wafting smell, beautiful swell, and you're afraid that you might come and take from the candle, take from the shemen to take from it, because it has this beautiful smell burn. And we know that's a violation of when you take out, it's a violation of extinguishing when you take out from the candle, when you take out from the nair. Okay. And Amalei Abaye, 1 second. Amalei Abaye, Lema Me'ar Rishu Af. Why don't you say because it's Af? Af means it's very flammable. It sticks to the walls, and it could light the whole house could light on fire. So Chadav Oikamer, we went to say one thing, another thing. Chadav Neshuaf, number one, is very flammable. Oh, and another reason is where you may come to take out from it, then you're going to violate the negative commandment of extinguishing on Shabbos. Mark quotes this very strange, peculiar incident. There was a certain mother-in-law that hated the daughter-in-law hated her. They didn't have a good relationship. And I think it's the mother-in-law saying to the daughter-in-law. I'm not really sure who's referring to who, but the mother-in-law said to the daughter-in-law, she says, go and adorn yourself with shemen, with oil of afrasama, this oil, which was extremely flammable. She went and did that. When she came back, she said to her, Zil itli sharga, go and hang the candle from the wall, or go deal with the flame, the fire. Also itla sharga, she went and hung the flame. And infach banura, and the fire broke out and ate her up and consumed her. So a terrible story. I don't know what it's trying to tell us, but it is definitely telling us one thing, that I guess we're referring to the same sort of material as afrasama is the same thing as bitzri. I guess it's very similar, and they're both very, very flammable. That's one reason you shouldn't light with it. Okay, let's end over here. Shkoyach.
Shkoyach, Becker.
Thank you.
Good.